All right, the next thing we're going to do is a 3 squat matrix. This 3 squat matrix was developed by a guy named Gary Gray, and it really mobilizes and stabilizes a lot of joints in your body. In my opinion, it's one of the best bang for your buck warm-ups because it gets everything from the ankle, your knee, your hip. It also helps your core stability because you have to maintain some good posture. Also, the shoulder blades down and back improves the immobilization of the thoracic spine. So in these 3 types of squats that we're going to do, you get a lot accomplished. Just about every client I see will do some sort of squat matrix. This is a pretty general one, very easy to perform for just about anybody. What you're going to do first is the split squat. That's the sagittal plane of motion. You don't want to bring your foot right behind the front foot. Bring it about 6 to 8 inches away from it so you're walking so-called train tracks, 2 parallel lines. Bring your foot back to where your heel's off the ground, and when you drop your knee, you'll make 2 90-degree angles with your knees. You're going to put your hands behind your head, keep the shoulders down and back. You're going to drop the knee straight down, lean slightly forward, and then come back up. Make sure you keep your core tight throughout the movement. Just a nice smooth motion, going down as far as you can without the knee hitting the ground. Once you get about 5 or 10 repetitions, you'll go ahead, bring the other foot back. Again, toe straight ahead for the front one. Knee is also in line with those 2 middle toes. Keep correct posture, drop the knee straight down, and then come back up. So that's our split squat. Then we're going to do what's called a lateral squat. Side to side. And that's going to help our frontal plane of motion. You're going to feel this a lot in the inner thighs and the hip area as well. Toes straight ahead. Keep good posture. You're going to squat down to one side, get your arms in front. That'll improve the depth of your squat. And just alternate sides. What I like to tell people is get your hips back and lean forward slightly without breaking your posture and your form. Once you get about 5 or 10, you should feel pretty good. So that's our lateral squat. You're going to get the inner thighs opened up. It's going to help our hips in the frontal plane of motion. Then we have what's called a rotational squat, the most difficult one to do as far as the setup. It's not difficult once you get the setup, but there's a couple things you want to think about. Just standing up nice and straight, you want to pick one leg up and swing it open like a door at a 45-degree angle. Okay? So if you're in a square room, you want to turn towards the opposite side corner. So again, lift the leg up, turn and step, keeping this toe straight ahead the whole time, and this leg will stay straight the whole time as well. Just like the lateral squat, you're going to bring the arms in front, squat to the back leg, which is the leg that you stepped with. And if you notice you're not getting down very far because, say, your ankle mobility, like I have an issue with, go ahead and lift that foot up. You'll get a lot more depth. You'll feel a lot more in the hip. This is the transverse plane of motion. This is the plane of motion that most knee injuries occur. So it's very important you don't skip this one, even though it's a little more difficult. Go ahead and step back on the other side. Again, go down as far as you can without breaking form. And if you can't get down as far without lifting that hip, it's all right to lift that foot up as well. So we had a 3 squat matrix, our sagittal plane for the split squat, our frontal plane for the lateral squat, and our transverse plane for the rotational squat. That's the 3 squat matrix. The next exercise that I'm going to perform for you is called a 3-way band walk. It's going to get the hips and glutes firing off quite a bit. A lot of these muscles around our lumbopelvic hip region tend to turn off, so to speak, when we're just sitting down all the time. A lot of people that have desk jobs or in a car a lot, these muscles just tend not to work. So we want to make sure we turn them on and fire them off before we do any type of high-intensity work so that lumbopelvic hip region is active, the core is stronger, and you're ready to work a lot harder. I have 2 different types of ankle bands here. We have what's called a mini band, pretty cheap, pretty convenient. What you'll see at most clubs are the ones with the straps. And so I'm going to do the demonstration with the ones with the straps today. All you're going to do is simply put them around your ankles. And the first one we're going to do is side to side. So we get our frontal plane of motion. Couple key things, toes straight ahead, maybe even turn in a little bit, because that's going to get the glute medius firing off correctly. You don't want to have your toes pointing out. You want to make sure they're straight ahead or slightly in. And if you notice, I have tension on the band the whole time. When I bring my feet together, I don't want to lose that tension because you want to keep time under tension to a maximum so those muscles are firing off as much as possible. You're going to get in a semi-squat stance, or also called an athletic posture. Hands on the hips tends to work pretty well, keeping your shoulder blades back tight. You're going to go ahead and step side to side, looking straight ahead, and make sure that you do not lose tension on the band. About 20 steps one way, 20 steps to the other. A nice continuous movement. If you can go faster, go ahead. Just make sure you can maintain form so it gets that glute medius firing off correctly in the frontal plane of motion. Now we're going to do some forward and backward walk. Same type of concept, toes slightly in, maybe straight ahead, tension on the band the whole time. Just like you're walking, taking a big step forward and then a big step backwards, keeping the toes straight ahead, semi-turned in, and then forward again. Make sure you keep a good athletic posture, keeping the toes straight ahead, slightly turned in, and keeping tension on the band. The forward and back band walks concludes the series of the three-way band walks designed to help fire off the glute medius and also help the hip musculature, core musculature activate correctly. And that concludes our Essential 8 workout, 8 exercises specifically designed to help increase joint mobilization and get the correct muscles firing off before you start to work out. I'm Justin Grinell, here for Grinnell Training Systems. You can email me at grinnelltrainingsystems@gmail.com. You can also get a hold of me at the Michigan Athletic Club at 517-364-8888, or also visit my blog at healthyandfitmagazine.com.